Hi, welcome to Protect Your Children Now with your host, Christopher Gelson. Glad you guys are out there. Hope you enjoyed that little intro there. You know, it just seems that between YouTube and Rumble, Facebook, it takes them a good 3 or 4 minutes before they send notifications out to let people know that we're live. So we figured, hey, you know what? A few minutes early, we'll get some good stats out there while people are waiting. And hopefully we can get some more live viewers. Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks, man. I had some bug. Ooh, man. Was not COVID. Thank God it wasn't COVID. Just a chest cold and a sinus thing. And, man, it was rough. It was rough. Couple of weeks. Just a rough couple of weeks. But looks like back in action here. So let's get this banner going here. Let's see who's out there in the chat. Marie's out there in the chat. Hey, we found out now that if you are watching on Twitter, which we should be live on Twitter right now, we can now see your comments. Before we could not for some reason. So if you're on Twitter, comment away and we'll read your comments on the air. And YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, all of those running live. So thank you guys for being here. You know, this Epstein stuff we're going to get into in a little bit. It's just the more and more stuff that drips out, and like probably the rest of how you were feeling, you're like, who's going to get charged, right? Who's going to get charged? All these names are dropping. All these people were at the island, politicians, government people, right? They're all there. And they all knew that the scumbag was already had been arrested previously. Unless they're, we didn't know that. What are you talking about? Oh, he seemed like a nice guy. He just raises a lot of money, sells artwork, right? But yet nobody's in trouble. Nobody's in trouble, right? Yeah, so that's got me ticked off. I'm sure it does you too. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at the way this guy was able to attract so many young girls to his island. And this goes back to home, parents. This goes back to home. Okay, he had his ways of get me started on the government connections. That's another side, right? We'll probably get into that a little bit too. But as far as him and his wifey out there going out and looking for these particular type of girls, they had their way. They had a grooming process, and we're going to look at that grooming process in hopes that people can learn from that. Parents can teach your young girls and boys about these tricks and these traps that this guy was setting. And hopefully they will never, ever fall into that. That's the goal, right? If I cough a little bit still, forgive me for that. Still a little lingering cough there, but we're also got a great Hero Kid segment coming up. We're going to do a little 2023 recap. We're looking at some stats from 2022 that are now in. It's funny how it takes like a year, right? Like it takes a year for stuff to like come in, So end of 2023. There are some stats released on how many abuse cases, how many teachers have been arrested. And let me tell you, it's going through the roof. We are in a full-blown epidemic here of child abuse. And it's like, it's becoming more and more like blatant now. It's like these people aren't even trying to hide it anymore. It's like, and they're getting caught, thank God, but it's like, they're just being stupid. Like, it's stupid and evil to do what they're doing in the first place, but they're like, oh, let me just chat up this young girl online. Like, they're not even thinking clearly. Like, duh, people are going to see your chats. The police can find your chats, right? But it's like they don't even care anymore. This is how twisted and emboldened these predators have gotten. And we're going to see that from the stats coming up in just a little bit. Hello to Marie T out there. Good to see you. I'm glad you're there. And I know you were sick for a while too. So that's Marie is our one of our other directors. She was sick also for a while. So hopefully you're all better, back on top, So, and anybody else that's out there listening and watching. So first, let me bring you over to. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Let's take a look here. Of course, I gotta plug the website. Of course, right? Come on, gotta plug the website. All right. Oh my gosh. So this is how you can help. And yes, we have 11,993 visitors now on here. on protectyourchildren.org. Protectyourchildren.org. All right. This website is jam-packed with awareness and education to help you keep your kids safe. We did see a pretty good uptick in the past year as far as website visitors, people downloading the protection guidelines, this in-depth protection packet right there. All right. That in-depth protection packet contains all the information that you need to keep your kids safe. It's detailed. It's not your mama's one-liners, okay? This isn't like, if anybody touches you in a way you don't like, let me know. Okay, mom. Like, right? That's it. Like most of us got. That was the protection that we got, right? No. So, detailed information, all right? Here's tips on preventing kidnapping. Look at this, all of this stuff. All of our podcasts are here. There's a special section for Zachary Bernhardt, which we are still working on that case. We have not stopped. All the live shows, child protection videos, zip code predator searches. You can type your address and your zip code in. It'll give you a list of all the predators that are living near your child's school or in your neighborhood, so your kids can know to be on alert for those people. How to set up parental controls on all your devices, game systems, iPhones, Android, step by step, how to set up parental controls. Very important to do that, parents. Missing children by state. Background checks. We do offer background checks, federal, state, local. Don't need as much information as you think. If you want to have somebody checked out, visit our website here, send us a message, say, hey, can you do a background check on so-and-so? You know, if you request it, it's confidential, okay? And we trust that you will not do anything stupid with the information except maybe keep your kids or yourself safe. Background checks right there. Eye-opening statistics, age of consent, state reporting numbers. It's all there on protectyourchildren.org. So please check that out. And Marie T says, yep, I guess that means you're feeling better, Marie. That'd be kind of cool if you're feeling better. All right. Let's take a look at some stats of where we were last year and where we're at right now. Pretty exciting stuff. You know, listen, we haven't had as much growth as we expected. But you know, we're thankful for what we have. You know, we think we could do better. I think that all of us could probably do more. Not only our followers and our tweeters and our Instagram followers and our YouTube watchers and people that are watching the live show, we think we can do more. We can get the information out more. We are watching the shares. Okay. And we're really not seeing a lot of shares. I can tell you that from last year, you know, through this past 2023, you know, there was a good handful of shares. But again, we've got 3 or 4 people, maybe 5 people that are sharing content. You know, and as we're going to see with these numbers, that's kind of shocking to us because what's the goal? The goal is to keep kids safe, right? To protect kids, to educate parents, to educate the kids. That's the goal. And if people aren't sharing the information, then it's not really getting out there to as many people as it can, right? And that's really saddening for us. But if you look at the numbers here, let me get myself off the screen here. So our website, December of 2022, was at 10,132 visits. Now it's at 11,993. That's a pretty good jump, okay? Instagram was at 152. It's now 208. Twitter, we were at 680 followers. Now we're at 766. That's moving a little bit. Our Facebook group, which we had started after the organization page, right? We had 520. Now we're at 680. So that's growing pretty good. The organization page last year, 4,695. And now we're at 5,997. Can't seem to break that 6,000 mark. Like, can we just get 3 or 4 people more to follow our Facebook page? You know, Protect Your Children Incorporated. Rumble, which we had just started, obviously. Last year had 0 because we just started it. And we're at 36 followers on Rumble. So need to do some work on there. YouTube, 310 to 340. Again, YouTube only picked up 30 followers in the last year. So, I mean, that's really dismal, but we're glad for the ones that are there. And total donations that came in outside of the directors, $250 all of last year, $250. And we say that that's it. Yeah, that's a low amount. Now, we know it's tough for people, but again, with all of these followers and visitors and people that are, could be helping out, we would have hoped to have a little bit more than that. So that's the numbers from 2022 all the way through last year. Oh, and someone did put in an order. I believe they ordered a mug and they ordered a shirt. So that's pretty awesome. Someone's walking around right now with a shirt on with our logo. So we're happy about that. It's going to increase web traffic. Absolutely there. I want to remind everybody that we do have these free bumper magnets. Free bumper magnets. Yes, not a sticker. It's a magnet, so it will not hurt your car. We send these out free of charge if you request it from our website, protectyourchildren.org. See what it says right there? It's got a QR code on it. Look at that, okay? Protectfrompredators.org. We will send this out to you free of charge. Pop it on your bumper, and everywhere you drive, people will know about the organization, about the website, and they can get access to the information to help keep their kids safe. Also, from our website, protectyourchildren.org, you can download this flyer. Okay, it's available right there. It's got our QR code on it. Gives some basic idea of what our website offers. You can download that, print it out, leave it out at work, hand it out to people, bring it to church. Whatever you want to do with it, hand it out, raise awareness that way. And that won't cost you anything except maybe some ink for printing it out. That's about it. So Marie says, I got to get me one of those cups. Yeah, they are. They're actually really nice cups. And I'll tell you, it keeps stuff cold and hot for quite a while. They're very nice cups. Very, very nice. Very nice. All right. Where are we at here? Let's see. So we went over the stats. Let's jump into our Hero Kids segment really quick here. This is very, very powerful, very awesome. Love our Hero Kids. Man, these kids that step out of themselves to go out there and help the community, spend their own time instead of sitting on TikTok looking at smut. They're actually out there trying to help people, and that's really awesome. And we love to highlight those kids that are doing that. And so we're going to check out this Hero Kids segment. We'll be back just a few minutes.
I took these bikes from a landfill, fixed them, and I rode them around here, and now they work. It's just a great feeling.
Last year, I introduced you to high school sophomore Brody Hicks, whose program Upcycle Cycles took bikes from a local landfill, fixed them up, and donated them to kids who needed them. Well, a few weeks ago, he wrote me, letting me know that with help from our story, he received an outpouring of donations from the community and that he'd recently delivered dozens of bikes during the holiday season. I knew I had to check back in to see how he's continuing to grow his efforts to give back.
Still a little bit of a mess here from scrambling around the end of December.
This garage might as well have been Santa's workshop, as 15-year-old Brody Hicks worked long and hard to make dozens of kids' Christmas dreams come true.
If I have an open Saturday or Sunday, I'll just go in here for like 6 hours and work on the bikes when I can.
It's all part of his program, Upcycle Cycles, which refurbishes old bikes and donates them to kids in need.
I love riding a bike as a kid, and knowing that these other kids will have these bikes to ride, it's just a good feeling.
When I first met Hicks at the end of summer 2023, he had repaired and given away 8 bikes from the local landfill, with a goal of donating 50 by the end of the school year. Little did he know how quickly he'd surpass that.
If I see him, I call Brody and say, hey, there's some bikes here. So
Hicks teamed up with Carol Martin at the Perry Center, a local food pantry, to enable clients to request bikes. And soon enough,
They have male, female, and then they put the height. The age is what I mainly use.
the applications came pouring in.
in those applications, they were for 64 bicycles.
The sheer volume made Hicks and Martin a bit nervous, but Hicks delivered in time for Christmas.
Amazed, for a sophomore in high school to have an idea like that.
And he isn't done. With 5 months of school left to go, he is continuing to raise the bar.
Maybe 100.
Maybe 100 bikes.
We'll see.
Well, Hicks tells me he hopes to do some research this winter to find even more partners he can work with to continue donating bikes to kids in need. Now, he's only fixing donated bikes, so if you want to support him, we do have a link up on our website. That's WKYC.com. But so glad that he's still at it. I mean, a few months ago, I thought it was amazing. He'd fixed 8. He pulled them out of a landfill.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, dozens of bikes later, he's not slowing down.
And I love that he kept in touch with you just to say, hey, Isabel, thanks for getting my story out there. Here's what your story did and enabled me to do or allowed me to do. And to help these kids and people in need is really cool.
Yeah, 15 years old. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? And he swims. He's a great student. He has a ton of homework. So he told me that he'd rather use his free time fixing these bikes and helping give back than scrolling on TikTok, were his words.
Man.
So
Yeah.
Great
Well, you heard it. He
kid.
said Saturday, 6 hours on a Saturday. Man,
Right?
that's
Amazing.
good for him.
Yeah.
That's so
Good story.
Awesome, huh? How about that? Just loving on people, man. Just loving on people. And like you said, he'd rather be out there helping people than scrolling on TikTok. That's our kind of kid right there, man. I'll tell you what. That's awesome. And I mean, love it. And the goal, he just keeps setting it higher. And he's like, you know what? Hey, 50 bikes, 60 bikes. How about 100? Right? And it comes back to, hey, he really enjoyed riding a bike when he was a kid. And he doesn't want to think that there's kids out there that don't have one to ride, you know, and that's just incredible. It's incredible. And I'll tell you a quick story. Marie, our other director, and I were volunteering. This was a few years back. I think Marie might remember this, at a foster home. And that particular Christmas, someone had donated brand new bikes to all of these kids that were there. And if I can tell you in 100 words, I probably couldn't. The look on their faces when these kids got these bikes, and they would just ride them up and down the driveway and all around, and they just didn't want to get off of them. They were so happy just to get that little something, right? That somebody thought enough to get for them. And it was absolutely a beautiful sight to see. It was heartwarming, and it was quite touching to see. And so when people reach out of themselves, especially teenagers, reach out from themselves and say, I want to give back, they deserve to be highlighted. So that's our Hero Kid segment for the week. If I talk a little funny, it's because I'm trying not to cough, so forgive me. It's still lingering around a little bit in there. So, all right, let's see. What do we got going on in the chat? Marie said that's awesome. Absolutely it is. And all right, cool. Yeah, so when we get into this Epstein stuff, man, I'll tell you, this is a family-friendly live show, you know, but I'll tell you something, the anger and you know, just this was warned about for years and years, even by a well-known conspiracy theorist, right? Alex Jones was talking about this, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, how there was this international network of trafficking going on, and there was a private island, and these billionaires were going there, and everyone, hey, you're just crazy. And it's like the people that were trying to raise the alarm bells about this, and no one wanted to pay attention to it. Sound like anything familiar? Like Sound of Freedom, right? Yeah, Disney sat on that thing for how long? 5, 6 years? They weren't about to put that movie out. No, because it gets uncomfortable for the predators, right? And then the Sound of Freedom goes out, and gosh, I think it might still be in theaters, or it's finally done. But, and, you know, raised all this awareness. And then the Epstein thing happens. So there's some good things happening where people are starting to really become aware of what's happening to our children, right? And they're focusing on the trafficking aspect and the kidnapping aspect. But they need to also be focused on what's happening right at home, right in the neighborhood, right at the school, right at the church, right? Because it is a very small number of kids that will be kidnapped, but it's a very high number of kids that will be abused by somebody that they actually already know. True stats. And we're going to look at those in just a few. And Marie T says Disney's a part of it. Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, I mean, it's every time you turn around, there's another predator getting arrested that worked for Disney. And of course, these predators put themselves in these places to get access to children. It's not it's not rocket science to figure that out. But that's exactly what's happening. You know, and it's like they have to start talking about it now because the public's becoming aware of what's happening. And it's a true test of where we're all at. Is the public going to be outraged as they should be? Or are they going to go, yeah, well, you know, yeah, well, Epstein's dead, so that's not going to happen no more. Yeah, what about the hundreds and hundreds of people that were going to that island? What about them? Don't you think they need to be looked into? Oh, it's just business. So you're doing business knowingly with somebody who is an arrested predator. Yeah, sounds legit. Sure. Unbelievable. Speaking of scumbag predators, I'm going to bring you a story here. This just, blows my mind here. But again, when we share these things, what we're asking you to do is look for the warning signs. Look for the ways that children can be protected, right? And maybe the things that were missed. Because we learn from these. The reason why we share these stories with you and these videos and do this is to raise awareness, right? It's to learn from it. Believe me, it's no fun having to report all the time on these horrible crimes happening against children. It's quite depressing, honestly, and it makes me angry. But these stories have to be brought so that people can learn what the warning signs are and they can protect their own children. And that is the goal, right? To protect the kids. Let's check out this scumbag predator here. Now, he was arrested, but just look at the mental sickness in these type of people. Like, what are they actually thinking? Do they have a conscience or has it been seared? It's unbelievable. Check this out.
Well, tonight, this man is in jail in Florida, accused of kidnapping a teenage girl in Ohio and bringing her back to his home to make her his wife. The two met online, and it is a cautionary tale for any parent about watching what your child is doing on the internet. 10 TV's Richard Solomon spoke to the girl's mother in a story you'll only see on 10 TV.
This is a side some go a lifetime without witnessing, where everything is so small. But this side represents a journey.
You don't take something as precious as a child and expect us not to go to hell and back to get you back.
No parent should ever have to travel. And this image behind Jennifer Johns,
that is the nighttime picture of us leaving.
A reminder of everything.
That situation to come home.
She would do it all again for her 16-year-old daughter, Michaela Buckner, who is now home after she was missing for several days.
You die 1,000 deaths every day you're separated from the child that you brought in this world.
On December 28th, everything seemed normal in their household. Michaela, who is an online gamer, was home during break. Jennifer went to work like normal. Then something unusual happened.
With my daughter's extreme scoliosis, there was no way she walked in the pouring down rain without somebody picking her up. I knew that.
The person accused of helping her, 31-year-old Thomas Ebersole from Florida. Investigators say the two met while playing the online game World of Warcraft.
He is a predator.
We learned through these court documents he drove nearly 14 hours from Florida, picked her up and took her back with plans to marry her.
She was so brainwashed and so far gone, she does not realize the danger she was in.
And after countless searches and cries for help on social media, Jennifer called the FBI on New Year's night. And only 36 hours later,
they found my daughter in Florida and she was okay.
But it's how they found her that Jennifer describes as remarkable. We learned through an arrest affidavit from the Marion County Sheriff's Office about the alleged relationship between the two. Investigators pinged Michaela's World of Warcraft account from Ebersole's home in Dunalin, Florida. The arrest affidavit states he denied knowing her, but later admitted to the crime.
We educated her on predators. It hurts, but when you're conditioned and you're groomed by these predators, you're not going to be your normal self.
The affidavit states they exchanged countless messages and calls through the app Discord, calling each other pet names and at times saying, "I love you." It also shows the two discussed his plan of picking her up. Ebersole admitted to authorities He did have plans to have sex with her, despite knowing he was committing a crime.
We have a chance to help her. And for these other parents that are out there that don't have that, I am sorry.
And now Michaela is currently getting help with psychiatric care, all while her mother prays that no other parent has to experience a journey like this.
I want other parents to just step up and be the adult in your child's life. These online predators don't care how old you are.
And that one day, this image will fade away.
She will get through this. Our family will get through this.
For 10 TV News, I'm Richard Solomon.
She was educated about predators, right? That's the first thing. Trust but verify, parents. Trust but verify. You can teach your kids, right, the things to look out for. You can teach them about the talk and about the tricks and traps and the threats, but you always have to be monitoring still, right? And I don't want to come down on the mom here. God forbid she went through hell, right? But again, 16 years old, the girl, and she's talking with somebody online that she doesn't know, talking with an adult she doesn't know for quite some time. They move over to Discord, which kids love using Discord also, right? And there's some nasty crap on Discord, just telling you right now. Discord is not for kids. There are no protections on Discord. There are threads and Discord groups and subgroups. It's just terrible. Reddit's the same way. The kids don't need to be anywhere near that stuff. But you can teach your kids, but you have to still keep your eyes open. It's not like you just teach them and go, okay, well, I talked to them about that a few times. They're good to go. You have to always monitor because you never know how these predators will get through to a child, right? You also have to know your child really well. The fact that this 16-year-old was willingly getting into a relationship with this adult man says that there was something going on there. Attention, validation, maybe self-esteem issues, who knows? But if you know that your child is having some of those types of struggles, then they are more vulnerable to fall into the traps of these predators. So you can't just teach them. You got to teach, but then you got to keep your eyes open. You have to trust that you told them, that they understood, but you got to verify and keep an eye on what they're doing. You have to do it. Oh, but I don't like being nosy and my child wants me to trust them. Okay, that's all great. You let your kids know that it's not necessarily them that you don't trust. It's the tricks and the traps and the threats from these predators that they may not even know about, that you as a parent may not even know about. That's what you're looking out for. And you're the parent. Like the lady said, I want parents to step up and be parents. Do what you have to do to keep your kids safe. You know what that tells me? That mom knows that there was something else that she could have done. And she's regretting it now. Now, thank God her daughter is home. She's getting help. But you can't just say, hey, don't go do that or look out for that and say, okay, good. And just trust that it's all fine now. Yeah, Marie T asked a good question. Where's the dad? I thought about that too. Guarantee you there isn't one there, which can account for the attention that this girl was seeking from an older man. Trying to get someone to take care of her. He probably told her all the things that she wanted to hear. And she fell for it. Parents got to keep their eyes open. You got to be nosy. You got to keep an eye on things. Just don't teach and walk away. And look out for these stupid apps. My gosh. Discord, Reddit, all of these, TikTok, Snapchat, all of these apps that do zero to keep kids safe. There's no age identification. There's no ID identification, like to verify who's using the app. You can have multiple accounts. You can have fake accounts. They don't care. They're not paying attention to that stuff. And it's up to parents to be monitoring their kids' phones and their online activity to see exactly what is happening. Don't just assume that your kid's fine because you talk to them about it. Now, let's be honest. Be honest. When you were younger, mom and dad said don't do something and you said okay. How many of you actually kind of went behind their back and did what they told you not to do? A lot of us did. Because we know better as kids, right? We have all the answers. So you can tell your kids to look out for this, that, and the other, but you got to make sure that they really are looking out for this, that, and the other. It's unbelievable. Whew. Man. Sad story, but thank God she's home. Let's get into some stats. These stats are from 2022. Again, this is a great website. I want to get myself out of the way here so we can hopefully see this a little bit better. This is from RAINN, RAINN.org, RAINN.org. Great website. Of all victims under 18, 2 out of 3 are ages 12 to 17. See, that's the age right there. And I wonder why that is. You ever think, why do predators go after kids 12 to 17? Hormones? Life changes? Peer pressures? There's a reason why they target that age. 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 20 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault. 82% of all victims under 18 are female. Well, is that going to tie into the Epstein stuff? Females ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. And YouTube's probably going to censor that because I said the word. The effects of child abuse, we'll say, have to monitor for YouTube, can be long-lasting and affect the victim's mental health. Victims are more likely than non-victims to experience the following mental health challenges. Victims are 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse, 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults, about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. This is why we do what we do, to protect the kids from going through this. Perpetrators of child abuse are often related to the victim. Look at this. Among cases of child abuse reported to law enforcement, 7% are strangers. That's a small number. 7%. 59% are acquaintances. That's somebody that the family of the child already knows. And 34% are family members. Now, that family member number has jumped. That number used to be very low. Like, we're talking in the teens for a long time. Now it's 34%. They got some old stats in here, too. The abuse cases reported to CPS. This is a 2013 stat. 47,000 men and 5,000 women were the alleged perpetrators. Unbelievable. It is a bad, bad situation out there. If we can say any more strenuously that it is a war, it is a battleground. Your kids are in the middle of it. And the worst thing that parents can do is think that they already know it all, or think that just because they told their kids to look out for something that they'll just be safe now. Yeah, you have to monitor them until they're 18 years old. It's your job, parent. You got to be nosy. You got to keep your eyes open. Alicia, good to see you. Said, I hope you're feeling better, brother. Yes. Yes, about 99%. 99%. Marie T says, due to pornography. Yes, absolutely. That's a very, very big part of it. These stats are just absolutely overwhelming. Now, when you think about this for a minute, if you're a scumbag like Epstein, right? He was not an idiot. Him and Ghislaine Maxwell, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew how to talk to these young girls. They knew how to befriend them. They knew how to groom them. Listen, predators like Epstein are taking advantage of the voids that are in our culture today. When you have a whole bunch of hypersexualized kids running around, remember the plan? Desensitize, demoralize, hypersexualize, and then attack. Demoralize, desensitize, hypersexualize, then they get attacked. And scumbags like Epstein and all the others out there, they know that the majority of these kids today are hypersexualized. They've been desensitized. They've been demoralized. Most of these kids don't even believe in God anymore. They just think that there's some piece of dust that just appeared on the earth. They believe that there's really nothing wrong with doing the things that they once believed were wrong. And Epstein just, him and his wife and their minions go out there and they just find these girls that are trying to get famous, that are trying to get rich, that are looking for attention, trying to fill that void in their life. And they make all these promises. Hey, come back over here. You're going to be a massage therapist. We're going to make sure you make lots of money. We can connect you with high-profile people. You can have a great life. These are the lies that they told. These are the lies. And when people fall for it, sometimes it's too late. Let's look at some of these statistics on child abuse. The scope of the problem: more than 600,000 children are abused in the United States each year. An estimated 600,000 children, unique incidents that is, were victims of abuse and neglect in 2021, the most recent year for which there is national data. The actual number of children abused is likely underreported because of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in 2021. Child welfare authorities ensure the safety of more than 7 million kids. Of those, around 3 million children received an investigation or alternative response from Child Protective Services. This is a decrease from previous years. Explanations from various states for the change included backlog reduction, changes to screening and assessment policies, and reductions due to the pandemic. Way underreported. Breaking down child abuse by demographics, girls had a victimization rate of 8.7 per 1,000 girls in the population, higher than boys at 7.5 per 1,000 boys. American Indian or Alaska Native children have the highest rate of victimization, which is 15.2 per 1,000 children in the population of the same race or ethnicity, while African American children have the second highest rate at 13.1 per 1,000 children of the same race or ethnicity. In 2021, an estimated 1,820 children died from abuse and neglect in the United States. Boys have a higher child fatality rate at 3.01 per 100,000 compared to girls at 2.15. African American child fatalities, 5.6 per 100,000, is 2.9 times greater than that of white children, and 3.9 times greater than Hispanic children. Children Alliance investigated 247,543 cases involving S abuse allegations just in 2022. 247,543. Around 58% of all cases their members carried through. While not all these cases resulted in a disclosure, charges, or conviction, it's an indication that the problem of S abuse may be much larger than federal stats show. In the graph below, the data includes children who have reported multiple types of abuse. See this number here? 60, almost 60% reported S abuse. Look at that. Physical abuse, neglect, witness to violence, other, and drug endangerment. The highest, nearly 2/3 of all cases handled involve child S abuse. Wow. See that? Now, why am I sharing all of that? You say, well, that's not all, We weren't just talking about S abuse, okay? When you have that many kids that are being neglected, abused, suffering from malnutrition, what does that tell you? There is a breakdown in the family. There is a breakdown of the family unit where parents are not taking care of their kids. And when you have kids that are already going through a rough home life, they are 5 times more likely to be victimized than a child who has a quote-unquote stable home life. So we're looking at all the stats. And scums like Epstein and all the other pederasts out there, they know the situation. They know the culture. They know how many kids are running around out there angry, hypersexualized, neglected. And they come right on in with the promises of unmet needs being met. I'll take care of you. I'll make sure you got food. I'll make sure you get successful. You'll make lots of money. You can trust me. Your parents didn't do that for you, but I will. And then once they have them pulled in, the abuse starts. And they're trapped. And most of them don't get out. See, it starts at home. And those stats are lower than the actual numbers. See, what we got is a combination of pedos out there that are on the hunt for kids that are not being well taken care of, for kids that aren't being supervised as they need to be, for kids that are not being monitored online. So we got a two-pronged problem here. You've got evil predators that are out there looking for the kids every single day, and then we got families and parents that aren't doing what they need to do to keep their kids safe. Not getting educated enough, not being made aware enough, not being nosy enough, not being there for their kids enough, loving their kids, supporting their kids, not just giving them everything they want, but being a parent. And when there's divided families, dads are gone, parents, moms have to know that there is a hole in that child's life. And if it is not filled by the right people, it'll be filled by the wrong people. And you get all these young girls that are trying to just become something, trying to feel like they can just make it in the world if somebody would help them out. And then evil has its way. And we're going to see here how they did it. But first, look at this. Cameron Diaz breaks silence after being named in Jeffrey Epstein documents. See, there's a lot of names that were dropped. Right? She said, I never met Epstein. I have no idea. Never been there. So the point I'm just making about this quick article here is that there's a whole lot of names that were dropped, right? Look at this. They included other high-profile political figures and celebrities, including U.S. Presidents Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Naomi Campbell, David Copperfield, Michael Jackson. Epstein's Johannes, I'm not going to pretend to say her last name, one of Epstein's alleged victims, claimed in a deposition that Epstein bragged about knowing Hollywood A-listers like Diaz, DiCaprio, and more big names. So that'll pull people in. But when asked if this was just name dropping, she clarified that it was. Goes on to talk about how the documents were dropped, all the names. But you see, that'll pull people in too. Jeffrey Epstein's recruitment of girls detailed in second document batch. A second batch of court papers linked to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein shows how dozens of girls were recruited at his beachfront mansion. A Florida detective says in testimony that 30 women had spoken to him about performing massage and work, quote unquote, there. Some were paid to bring their friends. There we go. The court filings have been made public under order by a judge. They are part of a lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's imprisoned former girlfriend. She was jailed in 2022 for trafficking girls for Epstein, and much of the material in this batch, and the 900 pages unsealed on Wednesday had already come to light during her trial. In 2016 deposition, Joseph Ricari, a police detective in Palm Beach, Florida, said that approximately 30 women had spoke to him about performing massage and work at Epstein's home. He said Maxwell was involved in recruiting of the girls. Interesting how he sends a female out, right, to recruit the girls. Mr. Ricari testified that only 2 of the girls had any massage experience, and the majority of them were under the age of 18. When asked how Epstein was able to gain access to so many underage girls, the detective said each of the victims that went to the home were asked to bring their friends to the home. Some were paid to recruit, he said, adding when they went to perform a massage, it was for Epstein's sexual gratification. Let me point out something here. So, what did we see here? They were told to bring their friends, number one. Right? Bring your friends with you. Now, this is a trick, right? Because think about it. If it's a young girl under 18, and Jelane's over there saying, hey, honey, how you doing? I'm just a sweet lady who wants to help you out. Okay, well, that sounds cool. I want to take you to meet my boyfriend or my husband, Mr. Epstein, and he's well connected with A-listers, and you know, it's going to be all the way over here on this island somewhere. The young girl is going to be afraid, right? So what do they say? They say, hey, bring your friends. Don't come alone, right? Bring your friends, and then the girl's going to be more comfortable, right? Because she can bring her friends. And then Epstein would have more people to abuse and victimize. Think about that trick right there, right? Don't come alone. Bring your friends. It'll be safe if you bring your friends. But again, it was a trap. And then he sends out the female to go after the female girls. Why? Because most girls would be a little creeped out if an old guy came up to him, was like, hey, why don't you come, show me how you can do a massage on my private island. Most girls would say, heck no, I'm not doing that. They'd be scared. Well, you send out an innocent-looking mama figure like Ghislaine Maxwell. Hey, I'll take care of you, honey. Life's rough at home? No problem. We can set you up. You want to become a massage therapist? It's your dream? We can make it happen. You want to get connected with some A-listers in Hollywood so you can make good money? We can make it happen. Bring your friends too. Bring your friends. This way you feel more comfortable if you bring your friends. Sick. Absolutely sick. Judge Loretta Preska ruled last month that there was no longer any legal justification to withhold the names of more than 150 people mentioned in the defamation case filed by Virginia Goffrey, an Epstein accuser, against Maxwell. People are mentioned in passing as part of various legal proceedings, and their inclusion does not necessarily suggest wrongdoing related to Epstein. See how careful they are? The court records unsealed on Wednesday and Thursday both contain references to the UK's Prince Andrew and former U.S. President Bill Clinton. Of course. Among the previously detailed claims against Prince Andrew was that he sexually abused a young person in London, New York, and on Epstein's Island in the Virgin Islands after the teenager was told to do it by Maxwell. And here we go, hanging out with Bill. The new documents also include a suggestion from a lawyer from Ms. Guthrie that former President Clinton may have information on Maxwell and Epstein's activities because he had traveled with them. And of course, Clinton denies everything. Let's see. Unbelievable. Did you guys see? I'm going to show you something here. This is creepy. This is very, very creepy. This is actually a true thing here. This has been verified. You see this painting right here? This was a painting that was found in Epstein's home. Okay? Imagine that. Bill Clinton in the blue dress. We all remember that. With the finger pointing. Like, hey, I got you. Very strange, right? Now, why would a pederast have a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress hanging in his own place? And Bill Clinton would come there and visit on what we now know is over 50 occasions. Seem kind of strange? Not to mention this one. Well, that's another story, though. Epstein also had this in his house. Painting of former President Bush. These two log piles here were the towers, the Twin Towers, and Bush is holding a plane in his hand. Why does Epstein have that in his house? Why? You see, because those paintings are a reminder for when they want to speak out against them. They say, hey, I got you. I got you, Bill. I know everything. See the finger pointing right out there? And Bush, I got you. Now, this isn't a conspiracy show, but you got to think about that. Epstein was no idiot. He's got the goods on a lot of people he had. And you see that interview with Bill Gates? When he was being interviewed? And the interviewer said, hey, is there something that, you can learn from this whole situation with Epstein? And what was Gates' response? Well, he's dead, so, with a little smirk on his face. It just creeps you out, right? And you might say, you know what? Protect your children, Nick. This is weird territory for you. You know what, though? This is all connected. Do we believe there's a conspiracy to traffic young children across the world for S abuse? You're damn right we do. And that's why we're speaking out about it. And more people, the public needs to be more outraged about this. Because of those 150 names that were unsealed, who's been arrested? Who's been charged with anything? Are you telling me the FBI and the CIA, they don't have the videotapes from Epstein's house? They don't have the completed black book, the client list? Of course they do. They have all of this information. They know exactly who was there. They got the video of what was going on there. They know who's guilty, and they're protecting them. And the more they protect these perverts, the more children are going to be at risk. Does that mean elements of our government are protecting pederasts? You're darn right they are. And it should outrage every single person watching this live broadcast right now. Should be outraged by it. Alicia said, funny how the Clintons are in Mexico right now. Yeah, I heard that. Alicia said, same as a lot of these organizations that were actually fronting as protecting children from sex trafficking. We're actually doing the opposite. Yeah. You know, and that just goes back to it and what we said earlier. You got to teach, but you got to trust and you got to verify, right? You can look at the fruits of what people are doing, the work that they're doing, right? But you still got to teach your kids and protect your kids. You know, you don't just assume that because someone's a teacher that your kids are safe. You don't just assume that because the person's a police officer that they're not dangerous. We've seen that. You can't assume that just because they're a Catholic priest that they're safe, or that they run the Boys and Girls Club, that they're safe. The neighbor that you've known for 5 years, you just automatically assume you know them well enough, your kids are safe. You always have to be watching. You've got to keep your eyes open and your ears and keep your nose where it belongs, in your kid's business. Parental controls on the phones and devices. You got to be able to monitor who they're talking to. Because if they get trapped in a relationship or a friendship or a communication with somebody that's going bad and they don't realize it until they're trapped, parent, you could know this ahead of time by monitoring who they're talking to. You might be able to catch this before it gets to the point where they're trapped or they're a victim of sextortion, which we've talked about. The point is, and it's been talked about this before, right? Drug dealers don't have a business unless there are people that want to do drugs. Okay? This is why the war on drugs hasn't worked. Because you can go ahead and put away the people that are dealing, and that's all well and good. But until you remove the people that want the drugs, you're never going to get rid of the problem. What's the point I'm making? The point I'm making is that you can lock up the predator, all the pedos all you want. There's always going to be more. There's always going to be another. You start addressing the issues of why the kids are falling victim to these people. And then guess what? They don't have victims, right? That's the idea. You start doing what you need to do. Start loving on your kids in the way they need to be loved. Start putting them priority one in your life. Not second, third, fourth, fifth. You put your kids first. You monitor, you help keep them safe. You make sure their needs are met. You teach them, and then you keep your eyes open still. Epstein and his sicko freaking girlfriend, wife, whatever, wouldn't have been in business as long as they were unless there were girls to get their hands on. And unfortunately, there were plenty. If a girl's going to go run off with a man or even this older woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, and go off to an island because of the promises, then that tells you something about what's going on at home, doesn't it? We've got to address the issues to be at home, right? Start right there. Have an open, honest relationship with your kids. Be there for them. Listen to them. You're not going to be a perfect parent, of course not. And they're not going to be a perfect kid. But they have to know of the dangers that are out there. And they have to know that they're more important than any fake promise that some predator gives them. They have to know that their bodies and their mind and their heart is more valuable, right, than they think it is. So that they're not selling themselves short to somebody who just throws a promise at them. Your kids need to know this. You remove the foundation of the problem, and Epstein don't have people to choose from. Now, I know that sounds crazy because it's such a huge, ginormous worldwide problem, and we're talking to probably 10 people right now. But you know what? Those 10 people talk to another 10 people, and they talk to 5 people, and maybe they talk to 5 people. And you start spreading this around. Maybe you share the podcast. Maybe you follow the page. You visit the website. You download the guidelines. Maybe you print out the flyer from our website. You bring it to church. You hand it out to people so people know how to protect their kids. All of us doing our part, we can make an impact here. But we got to step up and do it. I'm glad you guys were here. That's it for the show tonight. I'm going to have to go take 20 minutes to calm down now. Keep speaking out about this, though. Remember, the more pederasts that are protected, the more kids are in danger. And the fact that elements of our own government are keeping it quiet means they're protecting these people, which means they're putting kids at risk. And that should outrage every decent American out there. But if we stop talking about it and we let this go under the, under the bridge, go on with life, we're doing a great disservice to the children out there. We got to keep speaking up and speaking out. Marie said the show was great, sound and all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad the kinks are worked out. All right, guys. Until next week, it's Chris with Protect Your Children Incorporated. Please share this podcast. Share it, retweet it, like it, all that good stuff. We need to get this information out there. Appreciate you guys being here. Until next week. Yeah, and Alicia said, I bet he knew too much. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, Haha's here too. And she said, extremely informative and alarming info, Chris. Thank you. Thank you, Haha. All right. Until next week, this is Chris with Protect Your Children Incorporated. Guys, stay safe.